other fun thing in the calendar is this week is the middle of Ace Visibility Week, which is fun. Pride Month was earlier in the year, and then there are other various little bits and bobs scattered throughout the year. So many of you know that Red is Ace, and the funny plot twist of OSP is that both of us are actually Ace.
Yeah,
fun surprise. So. Mild journey of not quite self-discovery, but realizing things make a lot more sense now. I am Ace, which between Red and I and Indigo and Cyan, 3/4 of OSP are on the Ace spec.
Yeah.
Red and I are different flavors of asexual. For me, what I realized is like, I always thought like I was, straight, nothing like I could put on a label and differentiate myself, and then I realized, wait a minute, it's aesthetic attraction. That's a different thing. It's that I think people are pretty and would make great Renaissance art.
Yes.
That's different from what people are singing about in all those 80s songs. Those 80s people are way too horny. Wait a minute.
I had the exact same thing with the difference that I do art. So for me, I was like, oh man, I would totally draw that person. And then it took me a while to realize, oh, that's not what most people are talking about when they say that.
Yeah, so like the weird pride I feel about having been on the Henry Cavill is hot train way earlier than everybody else.
Yep.
I smoke you fools.
It's
that like
eyes.
it makes sense. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's an aesthetic thing. Duh. So I am the aesthetic branch of the asexual tree. So that's a fun thing.
Yeah.
Ace visibility. People come in many different varieties.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
It's very fun because I'm starting to, there's like a stereotype that like queer people kind of flock together before they even realize sometimes. And I was like, I do remember like we met like week 1 of high school.
Yeah.
And there was like instantly like, oh man, I'm really vibing with this person. And now it's like, oh, huh.
Oh wait, yeah.
Quantum superposition of the brain cell once again.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then you and Cyan like, man, this person, we're just really clicking. And then it's like, wow, I really like this girl. She's super fun. And now it's like, oh, hey.
Yeah.
It's just that big Spider-Man pointing meme.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what that is. Yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
It was like, I figured it out, like, at the end of Pride Month, and I'm like, okay, well, now it's too late. And I was, like, trying to figure out, like, okay, what are the labels? Like, what are the different... Because, like, I'm Ace, but I'm not that kind of Ace, and I'm sort of that kind of Ace. And I was like, yeah, so Ace in the aesthetic camp is a thing. Because, like, I knew that I thought people were pretty, but, like, the logical conclusion of, like, heterosexuality of, like, and therefore I want to, no. Like, that part was never, like, oh, it's just that, like, I could stare at them for hours.
Exactly.
Like, oh, like, they do really well, like, in a museum piece. Or, like, oh, that person's voice sounds really nice. ASMR makes so much more sense to me now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, because, like, you see that person and you're like, wow, that person's so pretty, and then your brain stops there. But it feels like it should be hooking up with something else mentally. Like, there's a connection that isn't there. Which is very cool. And I will say, the thing about, like, which flavor of this label am I? I do remember that when I first found Ace as a label, I was like, oh, everything makes sense now. And since then, I have had some, like, I wonder what the romantic orientation is. Some things people say about aro make sense, but maybe we just don't have a broad enough concept of love in general, and who the hell knows? But the thing is, for me, it actually doesn't matter. Like, the only label I really needed was Ace. Like, who knows what the romantic orientation is? It's something statistically, but like it doesn't matter to me, and all that matters is finding the things that make you feel better for knowing them about you. Like, you don't need to break it down all the way necessarily. I've seen a few people get kind of hung up on like which of these specific labels exactly matches me, and it's like, if you don't see it and like, I don't know, resonate with it, like if you're not drift compatible with this label, like, you don't need to attach it to yourself. But if you see it and you're like, oh, I understand me better now, that is such a valuable feeling.
Yeah, and that's two things. One is if we jump back to the podcast episode we did at the end of Pride Month, where I was like, yeah, and like sometimes you might be feeling like you're something and you don't entirely know what it is, and that's okay. You don't have to land in the appropriate like bucket of what the label is. That's where that was coming from. And also, Red, to your point, like that explains why I like Pacific Rim so much, because they're not. It's just like, oh, they're just great friends. Great Ace rep in Pacific Rim. Thank you, Guillermo.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Guillermo del Toro recognizes that there are many different kinds of love. And honestly, I will go to bat for Guillermo del Toro forever. And a big part of that is because he can write the platonic love stories and he can write The Shape of Water. He's not a one-trick pony. He knows what he's doing. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good week all around, I think.
Good week all around. Yeah, so that's that. Aceness comes in many forms. Hopefully, for those of you who are like feeling like maybe something's going on there, hopefully, me explaining my own version of this whole thing has been some help. I don't know.
Yeah, multiple data points, always good.
Exactly.
Because for everyone who's like gone to me and been like, the way you described it made perfect sense. Now I know what I am. I'm like, yeah, but that's my experience. It's good that it resonated with you, but I can't cover the whole ACE spectrum by myself.
Yeah.
It's always good to have more visibility. That is the key takeaway here.
Yep.
It's always good to see the diversity of human beings and more than just like token directions.
Yeah, it's not just flipping a switch. There's not one way to be ace. This is a spectrum. Mm-hmm. You can so good stuff. Let's hop on over to the Q&A portion of the podcast. How about?
Heck yeah.